Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Jalen, and today I'm going to share with you every classic on my shelves that I have not yet read. Before we get into the classics TBR, today I'm drinking classic basic White Claw, and I've been getting into like the hard seltzer game recently, and so I bought this Yeti cooler thing for it, and I tested it out yesterday, and it kept this White Claw cold for like 4 hours at least, like ice cold. So this will come in handy in the summer when I'm swimming in the pool. Had to get this, for the seltzer life. Not very, not a nuanced palate, but it's good. Does the trick. Locale. I like them. Before I start, it is pretty well known on my channel that I do not often read classics. I am very intrigued by them, and I definitely want to get to many of them. Clearly, I buy them. So I would love, like, down in the comments, if you let me know, based on what I shared today, what you think would be the most like accessible or your favorite classics that you've read. Based on my reading taste, like, what do you think I'll like? It would be really helpful for me because I've tried a couple of times picking up a classic and wasn't feeling it, wasn't vibing. I'm really, into current releases and staying up with like the new hot off the press books basically and galleys and such. So I would like to make it, a conscious effort to start incorporating classics into my constant rotation because I think it's important to know the influences of current works and just kind of have that background. And I know these are classics for a reason. So yeah, let me know. So first I will start with my Penguin cloth-bound classic collection. I want to keep collecting these because I think they're so pretty and cool and they look really nice on the shelf. So the first one I have is Emma by Jane Austen. I've never read Jane Austen, not even Pride and Prejudice, which I don't know how that was not like on my high school required reading list. But so I know this one influenced Clueless. And I love that movie, so I wanted to see the 1800s inspo for it. I like this cover for this one as well. Clarification here, I have read a couple of these, but long ago and don't remember them much, and I want to reread some of these. So, for example, this one, The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I read this one in freshman year of high school, so barely remember it, but I remember it being homoerotic, so I want to reread this today, and I know it's an influence on a lot of like modern gothic horror, and yeah, I've heard really great things about this one. I think this one is a very me pick. But let me know if you like it. Next, I have Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. I read this book in high school, senior year. Basically used Spark Notes for this in preparation for the AP Literature exam. Didn't end up using it on the exam, I don't think, but I really would like to read this one because I think it's like a prolific, unreliable narrator story, I think. I heard from a friend, so I've seen this one hyped a ton. I've also seen this one panned a lot, so I don't know if I'm gonna hate it or love it. I don't remember what it's about. All I know, Heathcliff is a character, but that's really it. So yeah, let me know if you like Wuthering Heights. Next, I am very excited for this one. It is Villette by Charlotte Bronte. One of the few classics that I read last year was Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte, and I heard this one is like Jane Eyre, but make it depressing. So I'm all for it. I guess this one is a very bleak, sad book. I don't know what it's about really. All I heard was Jane Eyre, sad. Loved Jane Eyre, so I think I'm gonna like this one even more. And I think this one's underrated compared to Jane Eyre, obviously, because that's like her most famous book. So yeah, excited for Villette. This might be like a DWM, Depressed Woman Moving book, as CJ dubbed recently. So yeah, let me know if this is good. Next, I am not really too keen on reading Charles Dickens, but I picked up a cheap copy of A Tale of Two Cities in the Penguin Clothbound Classic Edition. And I did read Great Expectations in high school as well. I don't remember it, but yeah, Dickens might be a tough sell for me. I've seen some people that I trust really not like his books, particularly Bleak House, which I know is like a massive tome. But I do know that Donna Tartt loves Charles Dickens, and The Goldfinch was very Dickensian. And I think I might like him for that reason, because I like her, massive stories. I think they're fun to dive into every once in a while. And it's been a while since I've like really sunk into like a really long, complex story. So I think I might like him. I don't know. Let me know if you think I'll like Dickens, because I need to read him now that he's on my shelf, but we'll see. Okay, so that about does it for my unread clothbound classics. And so next, I have a bunch of the Penguin Deluxe paperback copies, which I also really like. And back a couple months ago, I shared a poll on my stories basically asking, do you like the hardback versions or the paperback covers? And it was pretty much 50-50. So let me know what you prefer. I know like the hardback editions kind of follow a similar look, basically like a pattern on each of them and color scheme, but these are all over the place, but they're all deckled edges. I know some people hate those, but I like them. So yeah, I have Mrs. Dalloway by Virginia Woolf. Some of my favorite writers are explicitly heavily influenced by Virginia Woolf, most notably I would say Brandon Taylor. So I have 2 books on my TBR by her, and not sure which I should start with, but I think I've heard that Mrs. Dalloway is a good entry point. The other one I have, I'll share it next, is To the Lighthouse. And I really like this cover. It has a very soft, like, I don't know how to explain the texture, but it's cool. I like the way it feels in the hand. But I have this one too. And I think this one directly inspired Real Life by Brandon Taylor, if I remember correctly. And so I really want to read this one and then reread Real Life and see the parallels there. But yeah, Wolfheads, let me know. Another Jane Austen in my collection is Sense and Sensibility. I would like to eventually get the hardback edition if I do like Austen. But I won this in a giveaway at my local bookstore like 2 years ago. So don't know what this is about. I know Alex from Page You Want on BookTube loves Jane Austen, so I think I'm gonna like her. Her stories seem to be a little bit, I guess, less tension filled. I like dark stuff, so I'm not sure if I'm gonna like her as much as some others on here, but I do like a lighter read once in a while, so maybe I will like her. I think she writes really well characters from what I remember, so yeah, let me know if I need to give Jane Austen a try. Oh, also GK reads Grace. She loves Jane Austen too, and I trust her opinion, and she likes dark stuff too, so maybe I will like her, but as of right now, I'm not super compelled to pick up Jane Austen recently, but let me know if I need to change that. Okay, next, another book that I won in a giveaway. It's Waiting for the Barbarians by J.M. Coetzee. I don't know what this one's about, but I have some friends on here that love him, so nothing interesting to say about this one other than I won it in a giveaway and now it's on my shelves. So next, I have another one that I read in high school that I remember really liking, The Catcher in the Rye by J.D. Salinger. I know this one is like very hit or miss with people. People absolutely fucking hate this book or they love it. So I don't remember it at all. I remember there was like a depressed guy in college maybe. Yeah, I don't know, but I would like to reread it and see what my stance is now, just given how like controversial this book is, but I have a teeny tiny little paperback of it. Okay, next up I have Cat's Cradle by Kurt Vonnegut. I think this copy is a copy I stole from my friend in high school that I still have and I never read, so I am sorry. But I would like to read Kurt Vonnegut. I would like to read more satire. It's something I don't often read, I find, and I think he's an author that I'll really, really like, just given his kind of strange style, kind of out there from what I know. But yeah, I've never read him at all, not even Slaughterhouse-Five. So yeah, if you have read Vonnegut, let me know your favorite by him. I think a lot of people love this book, and I think it's dystopian maybe, but not completely sure. A book I'm very excited for is Franz Kafka's Metamorphosis and Other Stories. This is another one of those Penguin Classics deluxe editions with really cool French flaps, comic book art, if you can see that. Is it not focusing? Get my face out of it. There we go. And deckled edges, which I like. So this one I'm so terrified to read because it is literally my worst nightmare. It's about a man that is turning into a cockroach, I guess, which is like, I didn't really know. I thought it was just him turning into a bug. Like when I picked this book up, did not know it was a roach. I have a big, huge fear of cockroaches. So this one sounds like it'll be a doozy, but I think it's not as queasy as I think it might be. From what I recall, philosophical and strange. And yeah, I want to read Kafka because I always see him compared to writers that I really like nowadays. So I would like to understand those comparisons before going into a book. I think I do like when a writer is described as being like Franz Kafka, but I would like to actually unpack that. Next, I don't know how I haven't read this book yet, but it's Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. This book has been on my TBR for years. I think this is a must read from what I've heard on BookTube and Bookstagram. I feel like I'm like the last one to the party on this, but yeah. And I also want to see the Hitchcock movie. I've never seen it either. So I've actually somehow avoided spoilers for this book. I know Mrs. Danvers or something. I think she's supposed to be like evil or I don't know, rude or something, but yeah, I'll check this one out at some point. I'm really proud of myself for having avoided spoilers. I think if I was spoiled by this, I would be way less inclined to read it. That's a trend for me, so maybe I should get to this before I am spoiled eventually. Next, I have The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. I recently purchased her 1,000 plus page biography that came out last year. And before I read that, I would like to read The Bell Jar because in high school, I read a couple of her poems and absolutely adored them. So I have, I think, her full set of poetry and this book that I have not read, but Sylvia Plath is like OG DWM. That's a lot to unpack there. Original depressed woman moving. So I would like to read this to then kind of learn more about her life, and I think she's just incredible from the little I know about her. So very interested in this. And I think Maggie Gyllenhaal narrates the audiobook, which is on Scribd, which I have, so I'll probably do that with this book at some point. But we will see. What? Would you like to say anything to the audience? If you would like a BookTube video with me and my fiance, comment below. That's gonna happen, by the way. I'm almost done, and then we can order food.
I'm depressed, so I'm not hungry, but my stomach feels hungry.
I'm depressed, so I am hungry. Okay, so next I have The Transit of Venus by Shirley Hazard.
For penis.
Get out of here.
What is it?
The Transit of Venus.
Oh.
Not The Transit of Penis.
Careful.
Okay, next I have The Transit of Venus by oh, Jesus Christ. By Shirley Hazard. Hazardous, clearly. I learned about this one a couple months ago because Parul Sehgal in the New York Times book review, she reviewed this book, said it's a perfect novel, I think, or like close to it. And I know Lauren Groff wrote the introduction for this reissue, and I saw Brandon Taylor, I think he plugged the Parul Sehgal review, and so I was just so excited to read it because I'd never heard of her. I know Shirley Hazard is an Australian writer and literally had never heard of her before, so I don't think it's a bit complex, but I think it's a tragedy, if I recall correctly, about two sisters. So yeah, I think it should be good. We'll keep you posted once I get to it. Next, I have The Grapes of Wrath, another by John Steinbeck, another in the series of me reading it in high school. 2 years ago, I read East of Eden by John Steinbeck. I actually read it, and I absolutely adored it. I think it's another one of those novels that's pretty perfect. Huge in scope, so beautifully written, loved it, think about it all the time. Would love to reread it now that I am a little bit different of a reader. I think it'd be rewarding on a reread to dive back into that one. But yeah, I would like to read The Grapes of Wrath next because it's another, classic of his, arguably more well-known, I would say. I've just been a little put off by huge books lately, so I just haven't picked this one up, but would like to get to it soon. Another in that vein is Middlemarch by George Eliot. I recently did a poll on my Bookstagram in which I asked people whether I should read this one or The Count of Monte Cristo. Thoughts about this one soon. And it was pretty divided. And I know people really, really love this book. So this is a book that I think will be rewarding to sit with for a long time. I know my friend Hunter at Shelf by Shelf, he's been reading this one for a few weeks or a few months now, just slowly reading it while he reads other stuff. And so I think if I do get to this one, eventually I will have to do it that way. But I think this one's going to be very good. I'm just a little scared with size, and I don't know. It's out of my comfort zone, so I'm just nervous, but love this cover. Another Penguin Deluxe Classic Edition. Really like the build on this one. So, as I mentioned, The Count of Monte Cristo by Alexandre Dumas. I made it 112 pages into this one, and I was enjoying it, I will say. I started reading this like 2 months ago, I think, and I was enjoying it, but like something about, so like the start of it was really strong, it was holding my attention, but it wasn't like completely enrapturing me. I think my natural instinct is to go for more contemporary reads, and so it's completely out of my comfort zone, and I was just kind of like, my mood reading was telling me I shouldn't read this right now. So I do want to get back to it. I think at this part of the story, it's giving a little bit more like political background, and I was automatically like, not vibing with me right now. Just like my brain at the time was not feeling it, but I think I might like catch up on where I left off on this and keep going with it because I do really want to read it. I know it's one of the more accessible classics, even though it's longer. Sorry for the squeaking noises. My dog is squeaking his toy, but yeah. So let me know if I need to dive into this soon because I'm just so scared. This is like a bad idea on my part because I can barely get through like a 400-page book without feeling like, okay. I feel like I always read shorter books, and so going for like the 1,000+ page classic was probably not the best idea. I should probably dive into some more shorter reads before I, try to dive into the long boy. But yeah, that's kind of where I'm at with this. Not a DNF, just to set aside for now. Actually, just found my bookmark in here. I'll probably leave that so I know where I left off. But yeah. I don't know about that. Next, I have Shirley Jackson's Dark Tales. I've actually read a few of these stories, and I put it aside for whatever reason. But it was good. I love Shirley Jackson. She's, icon, queen, legend. Oh, because it had a foreword by Otessa Moshfegh, love. So I was like, ooh, short story collection, dark, spooky, Moshfegh intro, had to buy it. So I want to dive into this one at some point. Maybe like closer to Halloween when I want some more spooky stuff. So thoughts to come. Next, I have a book I'm very intimidated by. It's William Faulkner's The Sound and the Fury. I have some friends on Bookstagram and in real life that love this book. In particular, one of my friends said this is her favorite book of all time. I bought this at this really cool book fair that happened before COVID. Huge like book convention fair thing where books go for like $1 to $5 a pop. Like very recent releases, older classics like this. You can find so much cool stuff. But they've since put it off because of the pandemic, understandably, but I got this there, so I have a sticker on it for $3. It's a really old copy, but I know this one's very unconventional, experimental, I think, and so I'm just kind of nervous to read it. Don't even know what it's about, but I would like to dive into it because I think this is one of those books that I'm going to really enjoy just based on the people that recommended it to me. So yeah, if you've read William Faulkner, let me know if this is a good one, and if it's as weird as I think it is, or inaccessible. Okay, next, another Kafka is The Trial. As I mentioned earlier, I just really want to try out his like weird shit. I think he's gonna be really good and very my vibe. I've tended like in the last 2 months to read a ton of these like fever dream style books, and I think he kind of lends himself to that. So I'll probably start with the Metamorphosis, just because it's calling to me, even though it sounds terrifying, but this is also one that I really want to check out too. Next, I have 2 books by James Baldwin, Giovanni's Room and The Fire Next Time. Baldwin, I need to get into him, so these will be coming soon. Huxley's Brave New World, it's the last one I have in this stack. Another dystopian book that I don't remember too much about, but I remember like friends in high school really liked it. I forget why or where I bought this. I think I bought this a while ago. But I do kind of like these Everyman Library copies with like the red binding. Not my favorite, but they feel nicely like put together. Yeah, so that about does it for my classics TBR. These are all the books on my shelves that I have not yet read that I would like to, but I'm very intimidated by all of these. Well, almost all of these. First, I would love to know what you think I would like out of these stacks if you've watched my videos before. If you're new here, let me know your favorite that you've read that's in the stack or not. I would love to know kind of where you're at with classics. I know classics aren't often covered in the channels that I watch, but I do think it's something that I would like to dabble in. So if you would like to see more classics content on my channel, let me know so I can, constantly prioritize reading them. I just read a lot of contemporary books lately. So I hope you enjoyed this video and finding out what's on my shelves that are classics. I know I never talk about them. So yeah, until next time, cheers.